Hey, welcome back, guys. We are going to try a second attempt to do the narration on this pocket change market report because the first time around it sounded like an airplane engine the whole time. All right, yeah. Anyways, welcome back to another edition. This time for September 25th, 2021, where we take a look at some of the most relevant errors and varieties that were found by, well, not only some of our viewers of this particular video, but also a lot of folks that like to go out. They like to hunt for coins that they could possibly make money on. Okay, so if you're an avid coin roll hunter or you just like to go through your kid's piggy bank, you could find some of these coins. On the other side of things, if you're, the type of person that likes to go to your local coin shop, if you got one, or a regional show, or a bigger show, you can also cherry pick some pretty nice varieties and errors. Coins that typically have fallen through the cracks by those dealers, so sometimes some of them just don't care about these coins because they're minor, but this could be a good opportunity to find some pretty marquee pieces for not only your collection, but also coins that you could turn around and flip and make a lot of money on. So the market seems to be absolutely blistering white hot right now. I would say I probably looked through only the last 24 hours of listings and had pulled a selection of 32 coins to talk about with you today. Keep in mind, all the coins that I talk about on this list are raw. There are no graded coins, and the big reason is that these coins are very specific in their price range, where it doesn't matter if you had paid the $30, $40 to $100 to get these things graded and attributed as errors, they will still be worth the amount of money that they are worth in today's marketplace. So don't waste your money sending these off to the grading companies. Errors and varieties kind of speak for themselves. So keep that in mind. Don't spend the extra money. Don't waste your money. Just go ahead and add it to your collection or go ahead and sell it. These things are completely 100% liquid as they sit. All right, let's go ahead and jump into these listings. Again, we are using all of the best of the seller images that are provided, and you're going to find out a lot of the coins on the list. A lot of minor, smaller errors. They all add up to be something much greater. So we're going to learn about more about that in this video. But the first, of course, listing, we're going to start it off pretty big. We have a $1 silver certificate. This is a 57B. And it's in really nice shape. But this is a note that is quite common out there in coin shops and shows and online. Of course, you're looking for something much bigger than just a regular common silver certificate. This one, as you can see from the serial numbers on there, is mismatched. Normally, the serial numbers would be the same exact on both lines. So as you can see, we have a 4 starting out a serial number on one set and then 3 on the other. So this is referred to as a mismatched serial number error. Now typically you will see these more so in the earlier silver certificates, and you'll even find them on certain other dates of $1 and $2 bills, and maybe even 5s out there as well. You won't see a whole lot of these on current printings of our paper money. The quality control is just a little bit stronger in that regards. So if you like hunting through some of the older currency out there, you might be able to find something like this. I said I was starting it off big, and we are. This note sold for $399.95. Obviously, the note is ungraded, so this is just one such example of an error that you don't have to grade necessarily. It'll look good in a PMG or PCGS currency holder at one time or another, but again, you know exactly what you're getting, and grading it out does not necessarily mean it's going to be worth more than the $400 that this one did sell for. The back of the note looks good. Just goes to show you that it's in really nice, crisp, uncirculated shape. Doesn't have any folds anywhere that I can see. Just a really wholesome example. The next one that we have here, now getting into coins, we have a 1965 Lincoln Memorial cent. This one was struck through a capped die. As a matter of fact, it's a very late stage capped die because you could see the date, you could see Liberty, you could see even the motto on the coin, and the most important part, the profile of Lincoln's bust. Very late stage die caps stick to the hammer die, and after so many strikes, that cap die begins to thin out, so much so that in a very late stage process you could see the actual details of the or the actual strike from the working die strike through the cap and then produce what you see here. Very unmistakable in what it is. Again, you don't have to necessarily grade these out. The coin is in decent shape, although I will point out that there is a healthy amount of carbon spotting on the obverse of this particular example. So, keep that in mind. If you take great pictures and you're selling things like this, make sure that that's disclosed. But overall, decent example, and it sold for $48.50 is what this one hammered at. Now, the next 5 coins were all sold by our resident panel member on the live coin Q&A, Carl. Carl Omaha is what he goes by on eBay, and he has a store, and he sells primarily Lincoln cents. A lot of the coins that he has listed were finds from mid-state rolls, or BU rolls is what we like to call them. So you're going to find some relatively minor errors in addition to a lot of repunchment marks that's on his store, and he does a really good job selling these. Of course, as you can see, he takes really good pictures. This is a 1972D Lincoln Memorial cent, and at first glance, you can't really tell that anything's going on with this coin. You do see a fairly healthy amount of die scratches on both the obverse and the reverse of the coin, which just shows that there was probably a clash of some sort at one point, and the U.S. Mint official was trying their hardest to clean it up the best they can. However, if we look here, right above Lincoln's head, there is a prominent crack that goes from the rim and into his scalp. These are referred to as spiked heads, and these are all attributed on a website called cudsoncoins.com. If you haven't been on there before, I would encourage you guys to check it out. It's actually a fantastic website, and definitely do bookmark it. A lot of the coins are found by various people of all walks of life, and they all have some sort of value. As long as there's a market for them and people do collect them by date, then there will be a chance that these will sell for a decent amount of money. But back to Carl's listings, spiked heads. All right, it's simply just a die crack that goes from one point to the other into his head. And this area right here where the word "we" is normally a very high stress area on the die. So we normally see a lot of these spiked head die cracks, even going all the way up to 2021, the current date of coins that we produce today. Especially Lincoln's. That's where you're going to find them at. But they're all in different spots and positions. This one just happens to go through the word "we" right there. And this one sold for $6. All right, so it seems minor. And someone had pointed out a few videos ago, like, what's the use of selling these cheap coins? It just doesn't seem like a lot, And I tell folks, if you're going to build a diverse eBay store with a bunch of listings, you take the minor, lower price stuff with the bigger, and they all go into one pot. So you will gladly take one or two of these smaller sales to add in with the others. At the end of the day, it's money that's being built up over time. Here's another example, also from Carl. It's another 72D. This is also another spiked head. Although I will point out there's a little bit of a weak strike on the reverse there. And this spike right here, again, you need a really good magnifier to see these. Goes from the left side of the W and into his head, or not Carl's head, but Lincoln's head rather. Another spiked head, and to a lot of people, these are quite minor and generally overlooked. This example also sold for $6. I would say all 5 listings probably sold to the same buyer. Here's another one, 71D. This is actually spiked head number 4 on Cuds on Coins. And this one you'll see the crack going through the W into Abraham Lincoln's head. Here's another 71D. This one is number 10. These all, by the way, sold for $6. And you see the crack going through the W in a different position, and it's a little bit thicker this time going through into the scalp area. And then finally another 71D. This is actually number 25. So as you can tell, there's a myriad of different spiked head attributions for a lot of these earlier date of Lincolns. This one right here is positioned in such a way. It's a little bit thinner as well. There you go. So for 5 listings, $30 realized combined for all of these coins. Again, it's about selling in quantity and bulk and being able to, make money that way. That's another good way of doing it for sure. All right, let's do a little check-in with the wide AM market. We have a 2000. So you guys know there's a set of 3 dates, 98, 99, and 2000, in which the U.S. Mint inadvertently used a reverse die intended for the proof coins during that time. And 98 and 2000 are the 2 most common dates. 99 is way tougher, commands a lot more money in the market. But as you can see, this is one that you could see with a naked eye, but it's got a pretty big gap between the A and M in America. And this one, ladies and gentlemen, sold for $8.50, which is a pretty good amount of money for a coin with obvious circulation wear. Here's one of my favorite cuts, even though you can't read the date because it's obscured by this huge die break at the base of Washington's bust. Cut die breaks are all a result of just a working die being worn out to the hilt, man. Just like an automobile, you put a ton of miles on it, things will begin to break down. So anything with any sort of moving parts will be subjected to wear and tear. This big old piece of cut obviously broke off at the part where the date is most important. It is a Philadelphia coin, which most of these are on Philadelphia minted examples. And this is actually a very common cut in spite of its size, but still very, very desired out in the secondary market. Now, as you can see, the coin is circulated as well. And this particular example sold somewhere for around $100. The seller was asking $138, but there is a buy it now listing. Offer was accepted. I couldn't get the information from TerraPeak. So with that being said, can't really give you a definitive amount of money. Some of you can probably find out by going to like WorthPoint or something if you're subscribed to that. Now here's another relatively minor variety type. It's a 1950D, and this is actually sold by one of my other favorite sellers on eBay. Jim sells quite a few repunch mint marks, and they all come in various degrees of spread and all that stuff. But there are a lot of minor ones as well. Your rotates and your tilts and all that stuff. This is another one of those. The coin's in decent shape, albeit it does have a number of spots on there. At first glance, you'll see that there is doubled serifs on this one and a little bit of tilting action. So not a tremendous variety by any means, but this one is WRPM number 16. So it's a Wechsler's attribution, and it sold for $8.36. That is, again, a testament to how you could build up your store by, listing some of the minor stuff along with the big stuff. Just don't ask a super low amount of money for these type of coins. Start off somewhere reasonably, $5 to $10, with shipping included, and you'll do fine. You'll profit on occasion $3 to $5 off of every coin. And you could ship these in a plain white envelope. Keep in mind it has to be under $20 for that to occur. Alright, so we talked about one of these, I believe my last episode of the PCMR, but we have a 76D Kennedy half dollar. This is, of course, the Bicentennial Independence Hall reverse version. This is actually a quite common occurrence, but we have a strike through. You can see that some of the letters in Independence Hall, and even a few stars are a little bit light, are non-existent. And this particular date of half dollar suffered greatly from clogged dies. So we have these areas on the die, the smallest areas like the letters, were impacted by a lot of grease and debris. And when it struck onto the coin, well, there's nothing to be struck. It's just an omission of those devices. This one right here is sold for $3.95, but also keep in mind it's a pretty well-worn example. Here's really our first lot of the bunch, and we have a set of three Lincoln cent errors, and they all are curved clips. We have 1980, a 1970, and the 60D large date. As you can see, the curved clips in their respective positions, along with the corresponding Blakesley effect on a few of them, which is simply just a flattening of that opposite edge rim. The 70 is not very, very good. There was a little bit, not too much. But again, this is a very minor set of errors. Rim clips are quite common out there today, and they're generally found on the pre-1982 coppers. Although the next couple listings we're going to talk about are really anomalies in all of this. This particular lot sold for $13.38. If you have the opportunity to buy up a lot of error coins, do so. As long as it doesn't go, way too expensive, you could flip these on a singular coin basis on eBay and hopefully double your money. In the perfect world, you would buy this, list them for $9.99 shipped, and that's it. Just kind of wipe your hands with them. You won't sell them right away, and they'll be something that probably will take months, weeks, days to sell. But it'll help supplement all your other listings as well. So, it's an opportunity, and you could certainly do so with this. Now, we do have a couple quite scarce rim clips, and these are actually on the copper-coated zinc composition coinage, which we don't see a lot of clips on these. So when they do come up, they command a little bit abnormally higher prices than compared to some of the earlier coppers, like that last lot we saw. Here's a 1985D. It's in decent shape, although it is circulated, and you can see the curved clip. You can also see the Blakesley effect. That's almost a thing to look out for with these. This one right here, through 5 bids, realized $11.49. So that's quite a bit amount of money for a coin like this. And here's also a 1983, again, another copper-coated zinc planchet alloy thing. Curved clip is right here by the date, and you do have flattening here on the opposite edge. And this example also sold for $11.49. The previous coin had 5 bids, this one had 4, so there was certainly some activity on these. Now, this is a common day for an off-center struck coin. Between 98 and 2001, you really saw a lot of these, but this one I really like. It's a pleasing-looking mint state red. Can't really go wrong with these. People collect these by date. And they want one that is in really nice shape with not a lot of carbon spotting and a full date and mint mark if that applies. This one has it all. Beautiful coin that's off-center by, I would say, like 25%. And this one, through 3 bids, sold for $34.49. Here's a 95, a little bit tougher date, but although this one did see some circulation, looks more like a red-brown. I would even say it's not even a mint state at this point. This one is off-center a little bit more, 30%. You still have a pretty good amount of date there. And this one sold for $17.94. Again, if you're looking for this date and you are collecting by date, this would be a good one to have. So this is only our second currency piece of the video, but this one's actually a good one. This one has a number of things going for it that you guys need to know about. The note is in phenomenal shape, number one, so it's probably caught early. Number two, the third print is shifted slightly to the left. So that's anything with the serial numbers, these seals right here, in addition to the quad digits on the corners. And you can tell that the quad digits, a few of the numbers are overlapping the first print elements, and that's usually a hot button for a lot of collectors of this type of error. But in addition, if you look on the reverse, do you guys see what I see? This one little tiny number 1 is the plate number, and when it's sitting here to the right of the word trust, that indicates that this is a web press note. All right, what exactly is a web press note? You probably heard this a million times, but web press notes were actually printed on a trial type of paper process where it was on a roll. So kind of think of it as printing a newspaper. The paper comes off of a roll and then it goes through the printing press. Whereas today's technology, and it's a technology that's been around for a while, even before the transition to the web press experimentals, we have actual single sheets that you could, that you could fit 32 printings of a note onto. So those are 32 note subject sheets, whereas this was fed off of a roll. So that's why they call it a web press. It didn't last too long, probably like 8 years. It might have been like a cost thing, or it might have been too much to maintain. But yeah, that's what we have on this one. I mean, they are pretty neat, but you have a web press, you have the minor shifted third print, and you also have a really nice high grade example. And with that being said, this one sold for $68.50. That's a pretty nice chunk of money for this one. One of the coolest coins on this week's PCMR has got to be this 1983p Jefferson nickel. It's double struck. The secondary strike is about 75% off center. And boy, look at that. You got 2 dates on there. I mean, that is really hot. That is amazing. The coin is in really nice shape, and you guys will probably notice that there's a little bit of a flattening here next to Liberty. And that's probably as a result of the striking process where the second strike was off center. This one right here sold for a really, really nice $195. So that's a pretty good amount of money. But this is just a beautiful coin. And we also have another one here, this time the 72D. This one was actually sold by Rick Snow. If you guys know him, he is actually the master attributor of Indian head cents. So he's your guy. If you have a brand new Indian head cent that's never been attributed for like a repunch date or a misplaced date or some other variety, he takes care of that for you. He owns and operates Eagle Eye Rare Coins. So he's a coin dealer that deals with primarily Indian head cents, but he'll throw up stuff like this as well. So the secondary strike is about 70% off center. It's really nice. It doesn't have it's not a dual date double strike, but also on the reverse, it does have a little bit of remnants of a die clash on there, which is quite neat. This one right here sold for $83.50. Now, I always tell folks to make sure you check through your silver because you never know what you're going to find. So here's a really melty piece of 1884 Morgan dollar. I mean, this thing is not worth anything over like melt value. But, to the untrained eye, it looks like there's nothing here. And yeah, there really is not nothing. There really isn't anything. Sorry, I'm mixing up my words here. To note on both the obverse and the reverse. It's only when you look on the edge where you begin to realize that, oh, this one was a partial tilted collar. You kind of see this railroaded edge right here where it didn't quite strike up all of the reading. The collar wasn't properly in its upright position before the strike. The collar holds the coin in during the strike and produces the reads. In a way, it's its own die. So Morgan dollars has always been my favorite to look for stuff like this. I've found my fair share of partial tilted collars. And, collar cuds is another good one. Again, when there's a break in the collar, you'll come up as a blob on the edge. And those are always fun finds, and they are quite valuable. Like, if you look at this coin, this is about a $25 to $30 coin if you were buying it just out of a scrap melt bin. But when you deep dive and take a look into what the potential is, this coin right here went from just a basic $30, melt coin to something that sold for almost $100, $99.32. 14 bids altogether brought it up to that amount of money. Here's a 2020p Roosevelt dime. In much like the same fashion as the previous coin, this one is also a partial tilted collar, although I would have liked to have seen an edge image, usually with what I call a PAT. An edge image is almost an important component to this. It really helps with the sale. But you can just see a little bit how off-center it is on both sides, and you have the railroaded, kind of look to it on this side here as well. This one right here, again, brand new coin. Look out for these. Sold for $7.14, and that's with 3 bids. Here's another relatively newer error, 2020 Lincoln Shield cent. This one is off center by about like 5 to 7%. It's not anything fantastic, but as you can see, it looks like it's damaged. And it probably might have been damaged, like when this thing was in a machine to do the counting, or the when they're being inserted into the paper rolls. That might have happened there, but. Another good one, again, this is on a much newer coin. This one right here sold for $13.25, and that's with 14 bids. I'm telling you guys, 2020 was like a huge year for errors, and we're beginning to see more of that in 2021. So statehood quarters have gained in some notoriety here recently. For the longest time, you couldn't find any errors on statehood quarters. Okay, there's probably like a 2 or 3 year gap where we barely saw anything, and then with all of the recent just searching of coins out there today, people are beginning to find more of these. Okay, and people do collect statehood quarters by errors. They just didn't show up that much. They're quite scarce. Here's the 2005 D. It's a Denver coin, Oregon statehood quarter. And it's slightly broad struck, a little bit off center right there, but you can tell the coin has circulated a little bit. This one sold for $15.30, and that's with 9 bids. Same here with this one, a 2000D, another Denver statehood, and this is a Maryland this time. So this one also a circulated example as well. And this one, believe it or not, sold for $18.80. 14 bids. So as you can see with the amount of bids on both these coins, there was a lot of bidding activity, a lot of eyes on these. I believe this is our last lot to talk about, but we have from a seller that I've talked about a number of times, another 6-coin Lincoln cent lot. Looks like to be all off-center struck coins. The only one with a readable date that I could see is this one here in 1987. This one overachieved in price, which is quite surprising because all the other ones I've seen have sold for like under $30. But there must have been something funny about this lot to where it got up to $65.75, and that's with 21 bids. There's the reverse of the coins as well. Usually I would say keep an eye out for lots because you could always resell them as singular coins. But I think all the easy money was made when this was sold here in the last day. I don't see any sort of potential of selling these as singular coins unless you were just adding them to your collection, which you could do in this particular case. Alright, so this is a big one, and I always tell folks, and I haven't talked about this in quite some time, but even I knew about this about 7-8 years ago. 2007 to 2009 statehood and territory quarters are incredibly scarce to find any sort of U.S. Mint error. So keep that in mind, 2007 to 2009. As a matter of fact, I believe it was an Alaska state quarter with the same similar broad strike as what you see on this Arizona. I think in June or July sold for like $55. And I was like, wow. The market is still strong for these, but apparently it's just a matter of finding any sort of error on these 3-year date range coins that continuously drives the price of them. This one, no exception. This one, quite surprising, did sell for $95.30, and that's with 28 bids. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's just, again, another testament to how strong statehood error quarter errors are in the market. Here's another Rick Snow Eagle Eye Rare coin listing, and boy is this neat. It's an actual 1957 Lincoln wheat set. You actually got enough date that you at least know what the date is. Not sure if it's a Denver or a Philly, of course. But this coin was struck on a planchet that had a lamination. So this was a lamination that came off after the strike. Beautiful coin, really nice shape. And this one sold for $48.50. Here's a high-grade 1978 broad-struck Washington quarter. I mean, this one's really nice. I don't know why I didn't see this one. I would have picked it up for myself. But yeah, really wild, uncentered broad strike. No collar was present when this was struck, so all the metal flow went outwards. Probably does not have any reading on, especially this area here on the right side. So with that being said, this one sold for $20, so not too bad. Here's another 2020 American Samoa strike through. Again, these were kind of all the rage last year. You can see just the amount of like debris and grease had impacted the striking of these quarters, and they were all over the place. Quality control was at the minimum at the U.S. Mint last year, and understandably so. It was a pandemic, and they were working on limited hours and trying to combat a coin shortage, so they were producing as well. This one, wow, the money's still strong on these. This one is circulated, by the way. It sold for $32.34, and that's with 9 bids altogether. Quick little check-in with the sealed box market. Here's a $25 bank box of just regular circulated pennies. It's a Brinks box. And yeah, still money to be made here if you can find these at your local bank branches. I know some of them are kind of clamping down on being able to give you, pennies and quarters and dimes and all that great stuff. But this one sold for $71, and there aren't too many listings on eBay right now of sealed bank boxes of just regular coin. So if you want to make a few bucks, I mean, you'll probably end up profiting somewhere around $20-25 a pop. And that's after buying the box, shipping and fees and all that stuff. It doesn't seem like a whole lot, but we are close to the holidays and people are actively looking for sealed bank boxes of any coin. And you could possibly make some money by doing that, between now and then. So people are looking to save up money for the holidays. This is another way that you could do so. We got a couple coins left. We're almost done for the day on this one. 1983p Jefferson nickel. Pretty well circulated, but check out the crown of Jefferson's head. There is indeed a cud right there. So a nice little die break. If you look on the reverse of the coin, it does have the corresponding weakness as well, which is what you want to see for these type of coins. Very nice example. Again, pull these out when you find them. It doesn't matter how minor or major they are. The cud market is screaming white hot right now. This one sold for $39.98. And then finally, we're going to end it off on quite the stunner of a coin. This is a 1995p Jefferson nickel broad strike. This one has all sorts of stuff going on. It's particularly high grade, even has some pretty nice steps on there for what that's worth. Yeah, I would say it's centered, but it's got something funny going on here. I don't know what that is. It's interesting. There's a lot of neat personality traits of this coin, but if you're looking for a broad strike, this is a really great example. And this one sold for $41, and that's with 10 total bids combined to get it up to this amount. But ladies and gentlemen, I think, all good things must come to an end. For now, hopefully you found a little bit of inspiration to get your coin roll hunting activities far underway between now and the holidays. I wish you guys the best of luck in finding some of these rolls if you can. I'm going to be certainly trying my hardest as well to obtain it. Some of you have it easier than others, but in any event, that's going to go ahead and do it. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you enjoyed today's video, hit the dislike button. If you don't, I'm your host, Sean, with BlueRidgeSilverhound, another Pocket Change Market Report gone for the week. Thank you guys again for all of your views and support. And as always, Coinaholics, we are discovering together. I wish you guys the best. Have a great weekend, and I will see you on the next coin video. So long.